welcome you all to this evening. I would like to thank Lorenzo Rudolf and ArtStage for organizing this event, a salon event. I understand it's the second one that has taken place in Singapore. I think it's a great opportunity to get together, to enjoy some great art, and also get a bit excited because we have about 8 weeks left for ArtStage. I know that his team is working very hard on creating again a world-class event. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Bruno Wauters. He is the Vice President of the Belgium and Luxembourg business community. Now you may wonder, why did he invite Mr. Wauters? This is actually a preview of the new series by Saskia Pintalon, who is one of the most senior and renowned artists from Belgium. Saskia is now heading, we would say, into a postmodern phase in her late 60s, approaching her early 70s. She has been living in Sri Lanka for the past 33 years, and a lot of her work, the quality of her work certainly relates to her upbringing and to her education in Belgium. But you will find, again, her signature really reflects her time in Sri Lanka, her wittiness, her humor. You will see there's a lot of words basically incorporated into her words that she picks out of the newspaper articles around her. She's greatly affected by Sri Lanka, even though she is a migrant into Sri Lanka. We felt that this show will also give us all an opportunity to reflect on us and reflect on us being migrants into Singapore in one way or the other. Saskia has been there now in Sri Lanka for 33 years. It's her adopted home, and a lot of her work really reflects that. So with that, I would like to pass on the word to Lorenzo. He wants to say a few words as well.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for welcoming us. Now, I think the idea of this art salons is quite a simple one. We have a lot of great galleries here in Singapore, but sometimes I have the impression every of this gallery has a certain followership and many people don't know them all. And that's the reason why we said, let's do this institution of an art salon which goes back to the 18th century in France in galleries. The first one we did at our office, where we invited all our friends to come to our office. We had there also a guest of honor, and we made a short discussion about the scene. But I think there are more interesting spaces than an office space, even if it is an art fair. And I think we are in the art world, and for us it's important, and I think that's the main role an art fair also has, to matchmake people, to bring people together, art lovers, galleries, artists, collectors, etc. So we said, let's go out, let's go to galleries. And let's try to build bridges among galleries. Two galleries where we think they're really doing a wonderful job. And one of these galleries is surely John, who I must say, I really respect him a lot, because he is sometimes not in easy situations doing a wonderful, great job. And sometimes he's also going not the easiest way. I know he has also quite a hard head. He wants to go through with his ideas, but I think that's what we need. And that's what we need here. On the other side, I think it's a beautiful idea here. We have an artist which is Belgian, but lives in Sri Lanka. We have a guest of honor, which is also Belgian, but lives in Singapore and in Bali, and collects also art from Southeast Asia. We have a gallery owner. I think the biography is much longer. He is Turkish, he lived in Rio, he lived in Germany, he is here. Okay, but I think often we have a discussion here in Singapore about contemporary art. What is contemporary art? What is the influence, or shall there be an influence of international tendencies, international ideas in art here in Southeast Asia, yes or no? Sometimes in the discussion, what is the identity? Me as a small Swiss, I have to say I'm glad that my identity is the multiculturalism. And I think that's also here in Singapore. But I would like to ask you as a gallery owner, what is for you important in contemporary art to bring also Western ideas together with Asian position? The same thing also for you as a collector Because I think that are discussions we often have in Singapore, and only to build you a bridge, for me, contemporary art has nothing to do with national. Contemporary art is a global language. But I think you as a gallery owner, what is your point?
I was looking at somebody else, but I think will not participate in this, even though she has wrote a lot about this topic, Yola Lenzi. I think what encouraged me, I think, to open a gallery here was certainly I wanted to bridge between the East and the West, and I think a lot of galleries and a lot of people attempt to do so. But you see, when I was growing up, I really did not know where I belonged. Did I belong to Germany, where I grew up? Did I belong to the UK, where I went to school? Do I belong to Syria? My parents are from there. But then again, I was born in Turkey as a Christian. My mother is a Jew. So everything got really messed up. And when I came to Singapore, oddly, I felt I arrived. Because I felt this place was as messy and as young, and I consider myself as young as I was. And I think a lot of people are taking this opportunity to come here and to explore and to elaborate and to experience and to experiment. And so that's why we created this exhibition, this space basically to allow artists to do so. And again, we show a lot of Middle Eastern art, we show a lot of Southeast Asian art, we curate accordingly as well to really open this communication stream between the East and the West, or Midwest, the Middle East. But for us, I think it's very important that everybody who comes here and sees this exhibition identifies himself with that moment itself, without any borders, without really any nationality. Identify yourself based on your ethnicity, on your emotions. When you see this art, whatever you feel at that point, that's what you are. So, you know, I belong to Singapore as much as everybody else here, and I belong everywhere else. And I think most of our exhibitions will support that.
Wonderful. Bruno, you as an entrepreneur, as a businessman with very clear targets, you know that you're coming from. So in other words, I think it's another way. What is for you the most interesting as a Westerner who came here, the approach with Asian positions? Where do you see the chance of this dialogue between Asian artists, Western artists? Where do you see the chance of Singapore?
I think like you that there is no nationality to art. What there is to art is history. And so if you project what is happening in Southeast Asia, if you look at Saskia's work as a Belgian artist, you go all the way back to the texture that is there, the Flemish carpets, the school of St. Luca she comes up with that has been working with the fiber, and so there is the message that she carries. I looked her up on the internet, the humor side of Saskia. So she might have been 30 years in Asia, but the art school she comes from is still with her, anchored in where her origin is. Like you, I travel a lot. I find it fascinating in Asia though that you really have the trace of what I call the Euro-Asian school of artists that went in search of Gauguin and stuff in different parts of this part of the world, and you can find some of the techniques, some of the message, some of the moments in history in their contemporary work. I think what is extraordinary, Lorenzo, is your idea to bring this in Singapore as the crossroads of Asia, to tell the people from India, from Korea, from Japan, from China, come here, we are at the crossroads, art has no nationality, let's see how you fit in the current flow. Because, as you know better than me, art flows, it's never static, so it's always experimental, surely it's contemporary. And so Singapore has an enormous potential in offering artists as a venue. You know, everybody's welcome. There is no, if you try to do this in China, you'd have a dominant national identity to your project. Here you don't. And we Belgians have the same opportunity. I know it's not really hard, but Belgium is used by many companies as the test ground for new products. Because we don't manufacture, we don't have a strong product identity, so it's the ideal test ground. I think Singapore might be the ideal test ground for a new art, for contemporary art, for new movements, for so this is what you do here in this, like all your projects is really fantastic. Thank you for putting this up.
No, I think Singapore for me, and that's one of the main reasons why I choose to come to Singapore, has a really unique, I would say, situation. If we compare Asia with America or with Europe, then we have the first thing we realize is there is no Asia. We have many Asias. As you said, we have China, which is a totally Chinese culture point. We have Japan, we have Korea, we have Indonesia, we have India. And what I also realized traveling in many of these countries, speaking with galleries, with artists, but mainly also with collectors, there's a phenomenon which is quite strange, especially for me as a known Asian. Everybody starts to know, and then maybe to buy what he knows, what is around him. The Chinese starts with some Chinese art, the Indonesian is Indonesian, the Japanese is Japanese. The second step is to not to look what is around, maybe as a Chinese, what is in Korea or etc. Now we go directly to New York and look at what kind of Western brands are around. And I think we need here in Asia places like we have in the West, where they organically grew, like New York, like London, like Berlin, where all these influences, these tendencies come together, where we have a dialogue and exchange. And in Asia it didn't happen organically. So we have to see what are places which can really play this role. And I think there are very, very, very few. And in my eyes, probably the place with the highest potential is here. It's a place which is small, which is neutral, which is not dominated, as you really said, absolutely right, by one single culture, which is multicultural. And I think that's a huge, huge chance. And if somebody comes here and feels immediately at home because he is a traveler in the world, or is somebody who grew up here, I think also somebody like me who came here to do a business with a certain idea, we all feel the same thing. What keeps us together is exactly this multicultural situation. Everybody is somewhere part of a culture without being formed by one single culture. And I think that's also what we have to play in the art world. We do that, we try to do that with the fair, and I think it's important that we have galleries like you who play this role on a daily basis, who really do an important job of networking also culturally. We need collectors like you who do that on the way, collecting, debating, and I think we are all at the end in the same boat, and I'm glad to be here and to do with you this event, because I really, first of all, would like to honor you as a gallery, you as a collector, for what you did, because without you, I could not my business. Thank you.
Thank you for having a Belgian artist.
Thank you for coming. Please enjoy the rest of the evening.